Hey guys, welcome back to Smithwick Customs. So today I'm going to be working on a slab from Hunski Hardwoods. These guys are out of California and they are amazing to work with. And I want to apologize in advance, but I lost some footage in cutting this slab down to its dimensions that we wanted. And this slab actually isn't for a client, it's actually for me and my wife and replacing our old dining table. But you can see I've already poured the epoxy, and I don't like using caulk or any kind of silicone on the tops of tables. A lot of times that caulk or the silicone can actually get into the grain and cause some issues in trying to get it out, and it's more of a pain. I've actually used hot glue gun here, and the hot glue just it does the job well. I would say like it's easier to take off too. It doesn't quite make it as a good adhesive bond, but if you do a CA glue kind of rim and then use that hot glue, it does leave a good seal so you don't have too much overflow coming from your pores. And I use super clear epoxy. It's always great. But this slab did have quite a bit of cracks and imperfections that I had to go and fill. And I used the thin CA glue for a lot of this. I did use the medium for a long time. And I've learned that medium doesn't quite get into the grain like I want to. And with these small little imperfections, it's better to have it be as liquidy as it can be so it can seep into those cracks and create a good seal. But like I said, there was quite a bit of them. Doesn't mean the slab was bad by any means, but these Claro Walnuts, they do have a lot of character, especially when they're an older tree. And I didn't really want to miss out on a lot of this character. So with the thin CA glue, I used the clear, so it doesn't stain the wood as well. That black does leave a stain if you're not careful, but the clear always seems to kind of blend in just perfectly. Like here, it does really well, and it doesn't quite leave as much bubbles or air pockets. And like I said, I had to fill quite a bit, so I had to lift it, up on its edges quite a couple times to really kind of get into a lot of those areas that were hard to get. And usually when I work on these tables, it's right after I work out, so don't judge me in my leggings. I just got done running, probably 30 miles again, but I try to keep myself sweaty all at one time. So I started using a lot of these chamfer bits. I usually start with a 22, then a 30, then I go down to a 45. I really do like these sharp edges. I think they build a lot of depth in the grain. And to me, they leave a lot of character left in the grain besides just rounding everything over. My dust collection isn't the greatest right now. I'm still learning a lot of this, extra stuff on the side other than just like getting to work, but dust collection is something I'm still trying to work on and trying to find the best, thing for my small shop. And it's just a garage with a gym in it, so don't judge me. I'm trying to figure it out. But here I'm just laying in some C channels. And I was using the Concept 13s in the Canadian Woodworking for a while. And honestly, for where I'm at in Texas, I actually can order these from Floyd Line Design, and it is way, way cheaper, especially if you're starting off in your own woodworking process or business and you want to keep these slabs as flat as possible, and you are already going to get the legs from Floyd Line Design. These C channels are awesome. They are super high quality. They're finished to the same finish of their bases, so it's going to match perfectly. And I mean, it's just a C channel. There's no reason for you to go out and spend tons of money on something that you're probably never going to see, and still obtain the quality of what you need for it to do. But this jig is actually from Concept 13 because I did buy it when I did start woodworking, because a lot of people on YouTube were using. And obviously the more you do it, the more you learn. And but I still use it because, again, C channels are all just C channels. They all fit the same, and they're all got the same dimensions. And here I'm just using a 1/4 inch upcut spiral bit. I do use a bigger collar just for the first pass to really get a good indentation of where the C channel is going to go. And then I do change to a smaller collar to ride that jig, so I can get more detailed in. And I started recessing my channels, C channels, just because I do like to keep them as flush as possible. I don't want anything protruding from the bottom. So it's eyesore if you are looking at it from a distance. I don't want someone to see all that additional hardware underneath the table. And with hardware, these steel inserts from Concept 13 are still something I'm going to go to. I did find some on Amazon that I'm going to give a try and see how they go. And they're from the Hard to Find Fasteners on Amazon. And I will give them a try and let you know how they go. But for now, these ones are always, a good shot. And here I'm actually inlaying some curly maple bow ties to help contrast this Claro Walnut slab. This is actually my wife's choice. She has a coffee table that has the same style of bow ties, and I actually order these off Etsy through the Wood Surgeon. And I don't have a bandsaw, and I don't really have the ability to make these bow ties the way I want them, so it's always easier for me to get the bow ties ordered in, and they are really good quality. I would highly recommend going on and seeing on Etsy what's out there, especially if you don't have access to a lot of things in your space and you want to have these finer details. There's a lot of other wood suppliers or wood workers out there that can make you some amazing pieces, and he does offer a lot of different options from walnut to maple to a lot of these exotic woods that you can try. But we again just settled on the curly maple, and you'll see here in a minute that after I mark these in, that they do turn out really, really great. And I'm just using a pocket knife. You don't have to have an expensive marking knife or anything crazy to make a really good definite line for where they're going to lay. I would just say make sure that you have those things really pinned down so you can get an accurate inlay. And one thing too is with when you do these inlays is that you don't again need the best chisels in the world. You don't need Japanese chisels, but here I'm just using some Stanleys, and I didn't sharpen them before when I should have. And you'll see I'm kind of struggling to really kind of get these lines really perfect and dialed in to really fit those bow ties the way I want them. And you'll see that I'll have a few gaps. So for the beginning person, I would recommend, again, just get you a good set. It doesn't have to be the most best set, but don't do what I do and go get yourself something that's actually going to help you sharpen these first, and get those lines really, 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 tight. But again, with some wood glue and some sawdust, you can also feel those imperfections. It won't look as though they're like CNC cut, but if you take your time and really, really focus on what you're doing and don't get distracted, you can really get some really good looking inlays. And we're also putting these inlays in. Don't hammer them in directly in with just your hammer. Use some kind of soft wood to really tap them in. Here I'm just using a 2x4 that I usually use to clamp down pieces into my forms. That really helps you prevent leaving any hammer marks or big dents into your tables or wood that you're working on. And like I said, here you can kind of see that it's not perfect, but a little bit of sawdust and glue, you can feel those minor cracks and imperfections, and it turned out okay. It's not the best inlay I've ever done, but it's definitely good. And in between my passes with sanding, I do like to clean with some mineral spirits as well as water pop. It just keeps the wood grain clean, and you'll see that if you can keep the dust out of that grain, it'll definitely pay loads of dividends into your finishing process and how well that grain looks in the end. And here's just a flowy line design base we picked. I think this is the Haru base. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but it's a really cool base. We went back and forth on a couple of designs, and this one is ultimately the one that we decided on, and I'm really happy with the end results. And flowy line design just makes great bases. They're just very unique. They're very modern, and there's not a lot of people doing the same thing that he's doing. Alex is a great guy. He's really good at contacting with you, and he'll have a conversation with you if you have any questions on sizing or even any kind of custom work you have for clients that you may have. And here I'm just using a brad point bit to mark my holes. I was using a pencil for a long time, and I would always have some kind of minor imperfection. But if you have a brad point bit or some kind of punch, it's going to be a lot better and a lot more accurate than using a pencil to mark your holes, especially when you need to get that center just absolutely perfect in your tabletops. It's always bad when you're working on a table and you deliver it and it doesn't fit right, or maybe it's not as accurate as you want. And here I'm drilling my holes, and you got to be careful. Don't drill all the way through your table, But mark your bits. I'm just using some electrical tape. You can use blue tape, or if you have a collar, you can do that too. But that way you just get a consistent hole when you do your inlays or do your third inserts. And I'm just doing a test fit here, just making sure everything fits how I want it, and it does. And I started inlaying these as well too with these plates. It just helps make it look from the side. You're not seeing that protruding. Here I'm just doing roundovers on the top, but I've learned to do a deeper roundover. It really gives a pretty cool platform look, to where it looks like it's not all the way around the top. It gives it almost like that raised beveled edge. It ends up being a pretty cool little effect. Um, and here I'm just getting ready for my final sanding grits. It does take quite a bit. I cut a lot of time out of footage with sanding. Sanding is going to be your absolute enemy with these, because you do have to take so much time and you have to pay so much attention to how you finish these tables. It takes hours and hours, but a pencil grid will definitely help you out with that. Like you see here, I'm water popping in between them. And here, usually I don't start water popping till I hit 120, and then I go up from there to 150 and 220, and I stop. And then I take my time, still use your pencil grids, and a good kind of like, I guess, meter is to feel your wood while you sand. You'll notice if you water pop in between, you'll still have some raised grain, or you'll have some rough edges, and obviously take your time and actually go through the process and don't rush through them. Here I'm also hand sanding all my edges, so I don't lose that bevel. It's more important for you to not use a sander in these fine details in the end, and you'll see. And if you do it, don't think of it as a cheap out to go back to using a orbital. But if you really want that fine detail, really take the time to get your elbow grease into it and really work on trying to finish your tables to the best quality you can, because it's always better to do it right the first time than to come back and notice something that someone else may not. But as a woodworker, it's gonna bother you. And here I'm just cleaning in between my final sanding and then finish process, which is just mineral spirits. You can use the Rubio wood cleaner, but this is technically the same stuff. It just helps keep that dirt out of the grain. And here I'm using Rubio Monocoat. This stuff is awesome. I've used a lot of finishes, and this is the most easiest and the most durable finish that's out there. I'm sure everyone knows about it already. But here I'm just using a Scotch-Brite pad to really work in the grain. I was using a sander on my low setting to work it in, and it's not worth it to me unless I had a buffer. But using it by hand, I mean, you still get the same effect. It just takes a little bit more time, and as much time as you put in these tables, a little bit of time isn't really going to hurt you. And of course, this is a table for my wife. This is going to be a replacement for our world market table that's been in our home for about 3 years, and we had it when we were in college, so now it's just time to replace it. And she's excited to get out there and work on it herself, and it's always fun to have the family involved. And I'm hoping when my kids get a little bit bigger that they want to come out with dad and work on a project of their own too, and really kind of see them learn something that they may not learn in school. But to see my wife excited about it and come out there and want to be a part of the process is always fun. It's always good to see her kind of go through it with her OCD and start picking apart places that could be better. It's always good to have someone have an extra pair of set of eyes on it. And here we're just kind of wiping off the excess with all these blue shop rags. You can use microfiber as well, but shop rags do work. Just take your time and obviously make sure you get all the excess off, so you don't have any residual areas that are obviously going to be sticky or may have a buildup of oil. And these do take a lot of time. These take a lot of effort, so just don't rush the process. But here's some money shots. And like I said, this wood was just fantastic to work with. The Hunski Hardwood guys are awesome. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for taking the time to look at this video. And this is a small business, so if it's not too much to ask, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a like, and leave some feedback. Let me know what you want to see next. what kind of projects are y'all working on, or what did y'all not like about this one, or what's something that you have questions on. I'm always able to try to answer the best I can. And for a guy like me, for being able to work on projects like this is pretty awesome. Not a lot of people get to be able to do projects like this with this quality of wood. So thank y'all again, and see y'all on the next one.